All right, can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, great. We're going to get started. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Scrum session. We are joined by TenZ from Sentinels. If you have a question for him, please use the Zoom hand raise feature or queue up in the room by the microphone. First question goes to Alan.
Hi, TenZ. Can you hear me?
Yeah, hello.
Okay, hello. So first, congrats to going to Masters Madrid, and I think it's really been a long time since last time you joined into an international event. So you have been like really the ancient. I can say OG in this game, right? So what is your secrets in keeping your motivation through all the times, through all the years, and maybe through different titles?
Yeah, I would just say like competing is fun and being able to compete is definitely a joy. Like there's definitely like something that pulls me towards the competitive scene in any game I play. So I would say that's kind of like what keeps me motivated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question goes to Brandon Esports GG.
Thank you very much. How's it going, TenZ?
Hello.
My question, kind of also about your longevity in the game, you know, being a winner at the very first international tournament coming into this one. We've seen kind of how you've changed as a player, how you've switched roles, how you've evolved. So I would just like to ask you your thoughts on the evolution of Valorant as a whole, you know, as a game, as a scene, you know, as a competitive, you know, video game basically from that first tournament to now. You know, what are your thoughts on how it's changed, and if it's been for the better? Just really anything you have to say on that.
Yeah, so looking at the state of like the current meta slash game compared to before, I think before it was a lot more like chaotic. It was a lot more like people figuring out what was going on, and because of that, it was a lot more, I would say, like duelist dominated because people didn't really know how to like min-max the abilities and such. Whereas in today's Valorant, I feel like it's very like ability based, and a lot of the time, it's like people understand how to use like the ultimates better and stuff like that. So I think overall, like it has developed a lot, and I mean, person to person, like some people might enjoy like the past meta more because it was more like aimy, so to say, but like maybe more people, like some people could also like the current meta because it's like ability based where like they can use their creativity to come up with ways to do stuff.
Thank you. Next question from Nerditude.
Hi, TenZ. With VCT America's kickoff concluded, we have seen through stats that you have the highest entry rate out of any other controller in the region. How have you managed to turn an agent like Omen into an entry factor in important games?
I would say that's just me as a player. I'm very aggressive, so no matter what you put me on, especially if I can play towards my comforts, I will always find a way to take first engagements, no matter what, really. But it's also thanks to like Sentinels, like the whole team that backs me. I'm able to play the way I do now because of the way they support me.
Thank you. Next question from Manu Patito.
Hi, TenZ. Like my colleague said, we have been able to see you perform very, very well with Omen in the past matches and since last year. So my question is, what do you think is Omen's strength in comparison to the other controllers that are in game that things works well with your game style?
So looking at Omen as a character or as an agent, you get a lot more like smokes thrown around. Also, the strengths of being able to one-way specific areas to control it, similar to what I did with Jet before, where I'd throw like smokes to one-way areas to hold down an area. Like before, Jet smokes used to be like you could do 21 seconds of like a one-way because there were 7 seconds each. But that's definitely one of the strengths. Another strength, his TP. I use his TP instinctively to either take a timing on where I see a gap from where we see info of where the enemy team is playing. But then also you can use the TP to also scale with your teammates. So for example, you can use a jet smoke, like Zach will dash into the sites with a jet smoke and I'll also TP into it. So we have 2 scalers. On top of that, having the paranoia, you can use it to multiple ways. You can use it to set up yourself, set up your teammates. You can use it to stall a site rush or use it to exec a site. If you know someone's trapped in a corner, you can get a free kill like that. So there's a lot of creative ways you can use the flash there. And the ult is, it has some niche situations that's really good in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next question from Ashim Gosu Gamers.
Hi, TenZ.
Hello.
So at America's kickoff, despite initial hurdles, Sentinels showcased their position and were the winners. So my question is, what was different this year that was missing in last 2 seasons? What made Sentinels bringing their A game this year?
I think the main factor for why we played better this this season or this year is because us as a team is gelling a lot better together, both in game, out of game. I think we're able to have a specific team identity, and we understand that. And I think in previous years we kind of like lacked that team identity where everything felt kind of weird. We were trying to find ourselves. And so we just had to make stuff work for this roster in order to like make everyone play together better.
Thank you and best of luck your matches.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question from Pedro Romero.
Hey, TenZ. As is mentioned before, it's been more than a minute since you last appeared in an international land, and in doing so, I want to know how you compare the 2021 Sentinels team, the team that scaled the mountain and reached the top in Masters Reykjavik and then appeared in subsequent international lands. How do you compare that roster with this one, given the fact that you guys have managed to, or more specifically, you managed to regain a domestic title and have managed to qualify for an international event after around 3 years. So how do you compare 2021 and this iteration?
Yeah. Like a previous question earlier, the state of the game was a lot different. So in the previous iteration of Sentinels, we definitely thrived in that more chaotic environment, especially with me and Sick sharing like duelist roles, or me and Shaz sharing duelist roles. So we kind of found our own identity in that like current meta, and I think that's what made us really strong. Sure, we didn't play as many scrims as other teams, but we did trust each other as a team. We were really confident as a team, and I think overall that's what led to our success. Now looking at to this year, I would say we have really, really good teamwork. We understand the game a lot better than what previous years would be. And I think as a team, we understand each other and we trust each other a lot. And I would say like recently this current iteration of Sentinels has been giving me more like, what is the word? Not necessarily like flashbacks, but it feels nostalgic to have this level of confidence moving into future matches.
Thank you. Next question from Kemis.
Hey, TenZ, how's it going, man?
Hello.
I just wanted to see, essentially, like going back to what you said, you mentioned that like the Omen lets you like kind of open up more as a player, in that play style, but the Jet was a little bit more flashy. I just wanted to ask your preference, like, do you like that flashier play style where you just kind of go in and kill everything, or do you like this more like opened up TenZ?
So I'd definitely say my strengths as a player, I think, is when I'm allowed to do, when I'm allowed to be more free. And before, I would say where the meta, whereas like you could play double duelists, when you have a second duelist, you can kind of be more free, do whatever you really want. But now in the style of Valorant and like the current meta, the duelist is mainly like an entry used to like dash into the site or raise satchel in, stuff like that. So you're basically there to create space. But on top of that, you need to have the correct util to set up your duelists. And I think I realized with how the game evolved, I was having a hard time requesting for utility to come out to support me while I was trying to focus on my crosshair. So now playing on this new role as like Omen, KO, stuff like that, it feels a lot better because I feel more comfortable being able to set up others and then play around them and kind of see opportunities that way rather than seeking them out first.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Any questions in the room?
Hi, TenZ. Gustavo from Brazil. And I want to know, the last couple of years was a little bit, you guys struggle a lot. And I want to know, like, what happened to you personally, specifically, to get back on your high level. For me, I think you're in your peak performance. So what happened?
I would say just in general, you win and lose as a team. So when you're at your high point and winning, obviously you're going to play better. And when you're having a rough patch and you're also losing as a team, individually you also play worse. So I think everything there ties in in tandem. And so since we're playing a lot better, we're winning now. Individually, it looks like I'm playing better. But I think like at the end of the day, it's a team game.
Follow-up question. Do you consider yourself like a controller player? Because the only control agent that you've been playing is Omen, and you're playing like a different style. And other maps that doesn't play Omen, you're playing like KO or Yoru. So what role do you consider yourself?
I would still be considered a flex in my team, even though I do play Omen like 80% of the time. We have experimented with other controllers in the past, but the strengths of Omen, or I would say one of the big things that Kaplan really likes me being on Omen is because of like the X factor. There's always like an X factor with me playing, and I think he realized with Omen, there's definitely more times I can do more individual plays than if I was playing another controller like Harbor or Asher, which I have previously played in the past. More so Harbor, not really Asher in a match. But I was working on all my controllers, minus Brim.
And another question to wrap it up. Are you looking forward to play another different agent?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to playing a new agent. I mean, it's always fun to see something new, and I think I can get kind of creative or see different like opportunities with that agent open up.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Tyson.
Hello.
Mario from Spanish Television. I have a couple of questions. What are your feelings about the match with Heretics? Do you think you will win without any inconvenience?
I would say, looking at the match, obviously every team here has worked their way to get to this event. And so you can't underestimate any team in particular. But I would say it would kind of be disrespectful to ourselves if we didn't say we felt confident going into the match.
Okay. And my other question is, how does it feel to be the most recognizable face of the video game throughout these years? Does it add a pressure to the competition?
I would definitely say it used to affect me before, especially when I wasn't used to all the spotlights. At times it can get kind of it can definitely feel like a heavy weight on yourself. Because I've definitely set a big expectations in the first year of Valorant. And when people don't see the same level of play, then they kind of become more critical. And I'd say that's a lot more people, because I have a lot more eyes on me, I see a lot more criticism. But overall, it's just something that I had to get used to as a player. And I try to just focus on myself and focus on my own game and focus on winning with my team.
Thank you very much. Hope you the best.
Thank you.
You described Sentinel's team identity and forming that as being one of the biggest things that's led to an improvement from last year to this year. How would you describe the current team identity of Sentinels?
So I would say we have the methodical approach of the game down a lot better than most teams. I think our teamwork is pretty good with our ability utilization. I think that's a big reason why our retakes are really good too, statistically. So, so to speak, like I also think another thing with our team identity, other than that, is we're also very individually talented, where we have that that more X factor in our play. Like we have Zek, and even like Zek, he can just take over a match. Definitely when I have my moments, I can take over a match. And we've seen like moments where like even like John QD, he will like just own and when he's on one. So I think that's kind of a good thing about our team is we're a team full of superstars, so to say, and we complement each other in our own way, and we kind of let people take the ball when they're feeling it.
You mentioned earlier too that you had nostalgic confidence levels from Reykjavik, which I think is a fantastic way of putting that. If I could get you to rate kind of how high the confidence levels within Sentinels are feeling coming into Madrid, a lot of people on the outside look at it as a really wide open tournament. You're certainly one of the favorite teams, but internally within the team, how confident does the team feel about being forerunners, favorites, gonna take it, like that kind of thing?
Yeah. I think some people still kind of don't see us as winning the tournament. Like we just won kickoff, so they don't really have us at the highest point, but there's other people that do believe in us. And I think rating ourselves as a team, like we are really confident. And I mean, I can't speak on the rest of my team, but I'm just looking at our play and looking at like when we scrim and stuff and our match VODs, like we play a lot better in matches and stuff. And I think especially with experience and stuff with the team, I think that's kind of another level that kind of breaks us apart from other teams.
Is there a team that you're excited to go up against, or another Smokes player that you're excited to go up against at this event?
I would say maybe a team would probably be like Carmine Corp, since they're the #1 EMEA seed.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take 2 final questions. First from Ichiman.
Hi, TenZ.
Hello.
This is Ichiman from Colombia. Just want to know how you're feeling after surprising out like basically all the haters and demonstrating that your discipline and your skills is what makes you so great, as especially after being top fragger in the last competition.
Yeah, there's always been people that have doubted me in the past, and I mean, you can't really judge a player from an outside's perspective. You don't know what they bring out of the game even. So I think a lot of people will just kind of look at me and be like no aim, no, or all aim, no brain, like kind of that. I think that's kind of like the general idea that most people think of me, but I think they kind of just see like surface level, because that was kind of in the past where I could just run around. Like I'm definitely conscious of my own abilities, and so I would kind of just run at people because I was confident, and I think confidence did play a big part.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Final question from Neil.
Hey TenZ, I'm Niall from the Score Esports. I'm a big peripheral guy, and I know you are too. So I want to ask you about the gear situation, because I know there's been a pretty big lack of consistency with the gear used at VCT events globally. And I know you've talked about how players were told that they had to use a specific type of in-ears back in NA, and then in Madrid you were told that you could kind of use whatever you want, and now you're supposedly playing on 240 hertz displays instead of 360 hertz. So can you describe maybe the feeling of going from a higher refresh rate to display to a lower refresh rate? And do you have any concerns with this lack of consistency?
So ideally, because our eyes kind of adjust to something, especially with monitor refresh rates. So when you get adjusted to 360 hertz, when you do downgrade, it does feel a lot worse. It's like on the side, like loss always feels bigger than gain, and so when you like upgrade, it feels like, oh, this is nice, but when you downgrade, it feels a lot worse. So stuff like that. But yeah, with the inconsistencies with certain stuff, I mean, for a player like me that likes to switch my stuff a lot, and I have to like provide a second set of gear in advance that they keep in the locker, it could be a little bit tilting. And with the in-ear situation too, I do prefer to use other in-ears just because of like comforts. Like I want to be the most comfortable I can be on stage for one, but also like certain people prefer certain sounds, And for me, I don't really like too bassy, whereas the in-ears that we used in the Americas League was very, very bassy. So it's just preference really, and everyone has their own preferences.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes our Scrum session today with TenZ. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.